Today is a very sad day for RuneScape Classic players. Jagex just announced that they will be closing the Classic servers on August 6th of this year. I want to talk about this, and I wanted to talk about what I think the real reason is for them closing the servers, because RuneScape Classic is a game that has been near and dear to my heart since I started playing after the first re-release. I have an account that has 99 woodcutting, 99 mining, nearly 99 fletching, level 88 in my combat stats, and I was a big part of the community for a while, and I know a lot of people that are in it. This last week even, I've been making these RuneScape videos about the history of the game, and I have been recording clips from RuneScape Classic, and I was actually getting back into the game and I was playing it, and then today I was sitting in class at school and I got a message from my friend with a link to the closure announcement, and it was just a giant shock. RuneScape Classic has been around for 17 years now, and that really makes me question a lot of the things that they said in the official announcement. I think this was inevitable. RuneScape Classic had to come to an end at some point, but I just didn't see it ending this soon or this early, especially while there was still a small, but granted a really close-knit and passionate community behind RuneScape Classic, even if they were all botters. So I just want to spend a little bit of time going through each of the points that Jagex gave as to why they're going to be closing Classic. So the first point that they gave was that RuneScape Classic is heavily infested with bots and that it's a growing problem. I don't see why this is all of a sudden a problem. RuneScape Classic has been pretty much filled with bots since it's gone unsupported. And really, the only community that's left in RuneScape Classic is botters. They're people that bot 24/7, 365 days a year, usually on multiple accounts. And these people aren't bad people. They don't get anything out of it. The gold on RuneScape Classic isn't worth anything. Nobody wants to buy it. What these people are is the people that originally played the game way back in 2002 or 2003, and they're enthusiastic about it, and they just want to see their levels go up, and they just want to get maxed accounts. And I think that's really cool, and actually, as a matter of fact, in RuneScape Classic, the biggest community you're going to find is on the botting forums. But still, really, why is somebody all of a sudden so upset that they're going to close RuneScape Classic over this, after they didn't for over a decade? And I think the thing to note here too is that RuneScape Classic was generating revenue of at least $2,000 a month. The players that were botting Classic had to pay for membership. It was membership only access. The RuneScape Classic game servers were being run off a single 2,000 server. That doesn't cost a lot of money to run at all. I wouldn't be surprised if RuneScape Classic was actually making money. The second thing they said, and this was really the main point, they said that there's a growing number of bugs in the game, and eventually there's going to be one so bad that it breaks the game anyways, so they're going to have to take the server down. This isn't the case. Code doesn't break over time as long as you're running it on the same infrastructure, which they are. Any bugs that are currently in the game have existed since that code was originally written way back in 2004. And when you look at the bug history for RuneScape Classic, it's really not that bad. There was one in 2009 where it was found if you got over a max cash stack, you couldn't log into the game anymore. Someone fixed that. That's been done and dealt with. And then the only other one that's still present is the crystal chest bug, where it's possible to make the crystal chest not be reclosable so it stays open forever and nobody can use it anymore. Which really, the only effect of that is it makes dragonstones a little rarer. Not merit to close the game. There certainly isn't any bugs that are threatening or jeopardizing the existence of RuneScape Classic. And then the final thing that they said is that their tools are no longer compatible with RuneScape Classic. So okay, this is the only one that could possibly make sense in my head, because the chat systems and the login systems are obviously intertwined with old school RuneScape and the normal RuneScape. So perhaps there's some sort of security vulnerability there, but from a programming perspective, your database is always a separate layer anyways from your actual application layer. I don't think that the RuneScape Classic login is so insecure that somebody's going to be able to hack into the database and dump all of the users out of it, or use it to hack accounts. I also don't think that the PM system is proving a problem, because obviously it still works. They've said that they're going to be keeping the game open for the next 3 months. That's a long time if there's already some sort of big issue with the PM system, and they would have needed to make a workaround already for that PM system to still work, or put that update on hold, which I just don't see Jagex doing. They're notorious for making these rash decisions. I think if that was the case, RuneScape Classic would already be offline. So what is the real reason behind the closure of RuneScape Classic? There's a lot of opinions on this, but I'm going to give you mine. You know, the first thing to look at here is the notice that they gave us. Whenever Jagex puts out a news release like that, it definitely goes through their legal team, and they filter it with all their legal stuff, and then we get something that looks like that. You know, it's not genuine, it's not honest, because it has to be sound. You know, they don't want to talk anything about their investors and any type of news like that. It's bad for a company. You know, what I really think is going on here is that Jagex is doing cutbacks. And whenever you do cutbacks at a company, you start with the small stuff. Very recently, we saw that they're starting the closure of FunOrb. That is no longer going to be around either, I think the 7th of August, a day after RuneScape Classic closes. And on top of FunOrb, they also announced that they're closing Ace of Spades and Chronicles, two other small games that Jagex had made and run. And now they just announced the closure of RuneScape Classic. And you need to keep in mind that Jagex makes a lot of money. RuneScape Classic, it's only going to be generating really pennies on the global scale of how much money they're making. Old School and RuneScape 3 are making in the figures of multi-millions, whereas RuneScape Classic is making like $2,000. And when you give those figures to somebody like a project manager, they're going to look at that and they're going to say, you know what, there's a risk here that something's going to go wrong. You know, there's a risk here that we could be sued, we could be liable, that old server could start a fire. It's better if we cut this off because in the long term, it's probably going to save us money if there's some sort of catastrophic disaster. You know, it's not that there's a problem with RuneScape Classic, there's a problem with Jagex being greedy. They want to optimize their profits, and granted, they have a duty to do that for their investors, but it's just really sad to see. This is clearly a business decision on Jagex's behalf to optimize profits. You know, what I really think Jagex has done is they looked at this and assessed it and said, you know what, the possible legal cost that we could run into from having RuneScape Classic opened is too high. If there was ever some sort of legal battle that we had to get in over this classic version of the game, it doesn't pay for itself. We might spend $50,000 on some sort of lawsuit and the game won't make that back for another 4 years. So what's the point? You know, RuneScape Classic obviously doesn't have the same chat monitoring system that the newer versions of the game have that are so important to MMOs because it's people interacting with people. If somebody says that they're going to go shoot somebody, Jagex needs to go and report that to the authorities or they can hold some sort of responsibility in that. And obviously, the infrastructure to do that on RuneScape Classic doesn't exist. That's my speculation at least. That's what I really think's going on. But then if you look at something like the RuneScape Classic botting community, what they think it is that there's been a lot of people complaining recently that RuneScape Classic is really riddled with bots, and they've been complaining about the crystal chest bug. You know, one way to fix the crystal chest bug, at least temporarily, is to restart the servers, and they think that they've just pissed off the JMods to the point where they're done with it. They want to get rid of it so they don't hear about it anymore. For whatever the reason is that Jagex is closing RuneScape Classic, I suppose there really isn't much that we can do. The player base is so small. There is only like 100 to 150 people that would be logged into the game at any time, if even that. So I don't really think there's any sense in a petition. They're not going to overturn this idea. There would need to be a very, very big amount of players that actually wanted it, and that's just not the case. I just think this is really sad because RuneScape Classic is really the roots of RuneScape, and it was really awesome to be able to log into the version, explore the game, see all the weird history that there was that exists in RuneScape Classic, and really enjoy and appreciate the game as it was back then, and then have a better understanding of where the game came from and why it developed into the game that we all know and love today. One thing that I've seen a lot of people hoping for is that perhaps Jagex will release some sort of single-player version of RuneScape Classic that would even be available for purchase. I really wish this was the case, but if Jagex isn't going to be keeping the server open even when they're making money off of it, I really don't think they're going to invest the amount of money that it would cost to rework the entire game, so instead of the data going out to a server and things coming back from a server, it was all done on someone's local machine. You know, another thing that would be very, very nice is if they released the source code to RuneScape Classic so people could host the game again and play it just like the original. But, you know, if they wanted to shut down RuneLite over IP rights, then they're definitely not going to release the source to RuneScape Classic for the same reason, which is really unfortunate. The way I see it going is that the current RuneScape Classic player base is either going to need to move on. Fortunately, we all have to grow up at some point, I suppose. Or they're going to move onto RuneScape Classic private servers and have some fun there. This is really a sad day for the RuneScape Classic community. I spent a lot of time on Classic and I really enjoyed the game and I really enjoyed the community for what it was. I'm going to definitely miss it when it's gone. I'm going to try to enjoy these next 3 months when I can, and I'm kind of letting this video serve as a purpose to relive what I had on my account. Just remember how friendly the RuneScape Classic community was. My first time ever logging in after the reopening of RuneScape Classic, I was playing with my brother, and this guy both gave us 1,000,000 GP apiece. Thought that was so awesome and so nice. You never see that ever on the actual main games of RuneScape. Anyways guys, let me know what you think about this whole situation in the comment section below. And until next time, love, peace, and chicken grease.